let's get one thing straight before we start here, folks. I could quite happily treat this video like a box-checking exercise where I think about every vitamin, nutrient, mineral that you might potentially miss when going plant-based, even if it's not realistic nor too common, just so you've covered all bases. So we could talk about omega-3s and 6s if you liked. What about vitamin K2, of course? Vitamin D, that's important. I could guide you on how to increase your calcium intake. Would this make for a valuable and useful resource to many of you out there? Yeah, I'm sure it would. However, I personally don't think that's the only question that matters here. What also matters is this. Is this really what you need right now? Now, admittedly, you're a lot better placed to answer this question than I am. However, the reason why I ask this is because I talk to people every day, plant-based beginners especially, who set the bar so high early on, let's remember, in their journey. They're already looking at, really, the microanalysis. They're already doing, rather, the microanalysis. They're already looking into what I call the nooks and crannies of plant-based nutrition. Important matters, absolutely, but things, frankly, that are reserved for the advanced stage, in my opinion and experience. So let me ask you this too. How has abiding perfectly to the plant-based textbook served you so far? If you've had a bunch of success thinking about these things as a beginner or intermediate, bravo, I applaud you, that's great. But I know a lot of you will answer that question and think to yourself, you know what, Ryan's got a point here. I have tried too hard, I've set the bar too high, and I've missed out on the bigger picture, which is really just staying consistent, getting started, and implementing gradual progression in time. So I say, by all means, push yourself. Just know that there is a risk to every little demand you place on yourself here. I get a lot of people write me and they say, Ryan, I want to try daily dozen, then I want to do X and Y, but what about this? What about this nutrient? You know, and it goes on and on and on. What I have to say to you folks is, I've been there myself, the rabbit hole never ends. There is always this. There is always something else to uncover. And we start talking about things that really potentially only make 0.5, 1, or even 2% of a difference. Do these matter? Are these important things to investigate? Yeah, but later on, get the basics right first. That's what I want to stress here. That said, let's dive into some of the fundamentals. I think it's important. I will uncover some of the more advanced stuff here in this video, but let's focus on the basics. Fiber. This is the big one that we got to drill down first. You want lots of it. Now, this isn't hard to do on a plant-based diet. If you're eating lots of vegan junk food, yeah, you might be in trouble with fiber, but admittedly, we don't need to spend a lot of time on this one. How much do you want per day? Well, the British Nutrition Foundation recommends 30 grams per day, so does the NHS here in the UK. The World Health Organization recommends aiming for around 400 grams of fruits and veggies. Frankly, depending on what fruits and veggies you choose here, your fiber intake from this could be a little bit low, but let's remember there's also other things coming in your diet. You're not only eating fruits and veggies, there's also other things you're intaking there. But generally, that comes out at around a ballpark 30 grams per day, so that sounds good. Plant foods, FYI, that are particularly rich in fiber include beans, oats, berries, and nuts. But generally, if you have a nicely balanced plant-based diet without being too neurotic, as I said earlier about the small print, you're going to be fine on a fiber front in my experience. We want a rainbow of colours. I think this is a good rule of thumb, of fresh produce here for sort of diversity, variety in minerals and vitamins. Go for a full rainbow. If you notice yourself having lots of wonderful dark leafy greens one week, think, well, the next, maybe I'll still keep up with the kale, the spinach, the okra, the arugula, but I'm also going to make sure I'm having some red and yellow bell peppers, some beetroot, for instance. Spread those colours there. That's a good rule of thumb. You want your calories to be right for you. Yeah, of course, the title of this video has the word ingredient in, but this is an important message too, of course. Make sure you get the calories right for you. You don't want to be overeating, you don't want to be under-consuming on a calorie front. This is really important to nail. You want to feel full, happy, satisfied, and you want to have the energy, the resources to thrive and survive with this amazing approach to nutrition here. So what I'm going to do for you, I'm not going to go into this too much, but I'm going to link another video down below where I talk about how to calculate calories and track them As a beginner here, I want to stress here, I don't recommend that you track your calories day in, day out. That's certainly not something that I stand by. I think there's lots of flaws to this sort of typical calorie counting methodology you see in the mainstream health and weight loss world. But for some of you, it can be a very illuminating exercise, so more on that down below in the tutorial there. You don't want to get wildly carried away with fat-rich plant foods. This is an important point. I see lots of new vegans and plant-based dieters lathering on the old nut butter there, having plenty of avocados, tempeh, tofu, and so on. Look, let's not get this twisted. These are great foods. These are foods that are absolutely part of a healthy and weight loss encouraging diet in my mind. However, these fat-rich plant foods, you don't want to go overboard. And that's not just from a waistline perspective, not just from a slimming perspective, also a health one too, of course. I think the data is pretty clear that overall, we want a low-fat, whole foods, plant-based approach. B12, let's talk about it then. Yeah, I would say get a supplement in, folks. I think this is important. Is this exclusive to plant-based dieters? I would say it's probably marginally more exclusive, marginally more important for plant-based dieters than those that follow other approaches to food. What I recommend in particular is B12 methylcobalamin. That seems to be about the best one according to the research. B12, let's remember, is fortified in lots of things, plant milk being one example, nutritional yeast often, some cereals I think too, of course. But I would stress, as an insurance policy, I think it's a wise move to supplement there. Iron, here's a big one. Iron, this has merit. The idea that iron can sometimes be hard to come by on a plant-based diet, this is a point that does have merit. Iron is, I think, one of the only things really that is more biodiverse, more bioavailable, excuse me, in animal products than plant foods. So, having said that, most of you don't actually need to be that concerned. If you do have iron problems, look into supplementing iron, like with B12. But iron, you'll find it in lentils, you'll find it in chickpeas, hemp, kale, zucchini, I think, as well, of course. Let's also remember that vitamin C helps with iron absorption, so lots of broccoli, citrus fruits, cabbage, and so on. I would say as a general rule, aim for those major 6 food groups. Now, people try and cram as many, you see these delicious Buddha bowls online, wonderfully healthy Buddha bowls, and people try and cram every food group into their bowls, into every meal. You don't need to do this. Over the course of a day though, try and get in these 6 food groups if you can. Here they come, if you're taking notes, good on you. Whole grains such as our oats, our quinoa, buckwheat and brown rice. 2, tubers, sweet potatoes, potatoes and yams. Number 3, fruits, of course. Number 4, veggies. 5, nuts and seeds. And 6, of course, all important, legumes such as beans, peas, and lentils. A nice variety of these in your overall diet. Again, I wish to stress the importance of not overcomplicating things here. If there is one of these groups that you maybe once in a while miss out on a little bit more than another group, just for the sake of staying on track and adhering to what you're doing, I am in support of it. Again, we're going away from the textbook here. No, 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 this isn't what's perfect. Look, consistency over perfection, particularly important as a beginner. Even for me, I've been doing this 5 or 6 years now. I still am of this mentality that sometimes simplicity is absolutely the best way, even if it's not quite down to perfection. What about ingredients nobody talks about? Let's have that conversation. I don't think you'll often hear these in videos on YouTube. The intangible stuff, folks. Accountability, knowledge seeking. The fact you're watching this video right now, that's a thumbs up, isn't it? Consistency. Some of these things could be even more integral to your success than the aforementioned little rules and tips I've shared. And I think that's really important to stress. The mental and emotional side of health, nutrition, weight loss, fitness, whatever your particular goals are. This is really, I think, the most neglected area. This holy trinity I often talk about of nutrition, exercise, and mind, I think mind is the most neglected area. Let's not also forget about things like sleep and hydration. They're really important too, folks, and particularly on the latter there, hydration. When you eat a lot of fiber, you need a bit more water to help see that fiber content through your system. That's really important to note. Hope you found this a valuable resource in getting started, folks, without getting lost in all the minor details. I promise you I'll have a video going through the nuances and the more, as I said earlier, the small print. I will cover this stuff. I think this is not really where most of my audience are at though. I think this is the video that hopefully will benefit you most of all. For more resources, for more weight loss resources in particular, head over to naturalweightlossmastery.com. See you soon.